The following is for entertainment purposes only. We are not financial advisors. We are not responsible for any losses, only the profits.
Another video that I absolutely love, one that we can prove what the capability of a stock should and could and will do, but we get to buy it back in time before it's cool, way cheaper. Why? So we can multiply way faster. What do we care about? What are we talking about? First of all, it's going to be indoor vertical farming. These are big ESG plays, and I'm going to try to paint that macro picture for you. These are more ESG than probably a lot of these battery plays. Boy, that's a lot to say. I'm going to prove it. App Harvest. Let's talk about App Harvest. NOVS. We were buying this warrant. Can anyone else remember? Does anyone remember my video on this? NOVS. The warrants were like 56 cents. You remember that? The commons on this went all the way to like $36. Where does that put the warrants? $20 plus. Can you do the math on that? Think about how much that is a multiplication of. Right now, this thing is sitting all the way down to 1631. SPACs are still not cool at this point. SPACs are dead at this point, but this could end up rallying. Pay attention, we got a $1.6 billion valuation on this. What is App Harvest? App Harvest is indoor farming. They only currently do tomatoes, okay? That's it. They only have one location, and it's not vertical farming. They go up kind of, but we're talking like one shelf, okay? So I think, in my eyes, we have something multiplications better, okay? We have something that goes higher, all right? We can go like 20 stacks of tomatoes high instead of one. What does that mean? You don't need to buy as much acreage. These guys have like a 60 acre, 70 acre plot, which is rad. They own it in Kentucky. I love this play. But this one we're going to talk about below here can condense that by like 95%. So instead of needing 60 acres, right, we're only going to need like 4 acres or less because we just put a building that goes super high. It makes more sense. Anyways, this thing came out with a great press release today. They announced a groundbreaking for 4th and 5th high-tech indoor farms. All right, so they got another 30-acre plot they got here outside of Kentucky. They're using 90% less water. That's one of the big ESG things about these. They use way less water. So usually to grow tomatoes, you need a lot more water, 90% more water. But again, they're buying big 30-acre plots. What if we could do the same thing, but in way smaller plots? This is the solution, what we're talking about here. This is something, one of those SPACs that I can't stop thinking about. We have so many plays that are coming back, but I keep reverting back to this one because it ticks all the ticks and beyond. And once you really grasp the macro picture of this thing, it should blow your mind. Aerofarms, ticker SV currently, Spring Valley. Typed it in, Spring Valley Acquisition. It's going to be changing ticker to ARFM for me. Look how high they stack these beauties. See what I mean? How they need a lot less space to do it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 12, 20 of these things high. Aerofarms is bringing agriculture to new heights through technology innovation. They certainly are. They're the biggest in the market, I believe. They just got an article today from NewJersey.com. They're mainly just in New Jersey. They only have 10 current of these little farms that they get. But their thing is they're buying these buildings like in New Jersey, right? Places on the East Coast that get a bunch of snow like New York, Jersey. They ain't got fresh vegetables. In fact, that was one of the pitches of App Harvest above, was usually it takes New Jersey, New York, about 6 weeks to get their tomatoes from the pull. So someone farms in California or mostly Mexico, and then by the time it gets all the way up to Jersey or New York, it's 6 weeks. Can you imagine all the diesel, right? All the mechanic stuff to get it up there, paying the dude to ship it up there, the tires, the oil, all that stuff used. Imagine if downtown New Jersey, you could have this old abandoned building, but inside you had something like this. So imagine how fresh the veggies are and fruits and all that are going to be coming out there. This is a game changer. This Aerofarms is literally 10 tiny locations in New Jersey and one in Virginia, and that's it. tiny, tiny place they're in right now. They can got the whole world to go over. It's all done without soil, by the way. I don't think App Harvest, I think App Harvest still uses soil. These guys don't, which is crazy. All right? They don't use soil. They don't need sun. So guess what? When it's cloudy and all that, they can still grow. They can grow all year. It could be a tornado outside, a hurricane, black skies for 6 weeks, and their stuff is going to grow like crazy. About no pesticides, right? So no cross-contamination from other bugs and bees and blah, blah, blah. The company claims to use 95% less water than outdoor farming. So they use even less water than the other guys. This is one of the things that I find I might be the only YouTuber that ever talks about water, man. No one talks about mining of water, dude. Water is maybe the most precious thing we can mine. Prove me wrong. It's very expensive to mine this stuff too. Places on the whole West Coast are fighting like crazy. Hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars over water. Why is that? Think of all the farms that are in California, Oregon. Imagine if they used 95% less water. What would happen to that? Aerofarms branded leafy vegetables are sold in the northeastern United States, a tiny little pocket, at retailers including brands we already have: Whole Foods Market, ShopRite, Amazon Fresh, and Fresh Direct. Fresh Direct, by the way, might be going SPAC. So watch that too. This is like fresh vegetables and stuff delivered to your front door. I love this one. Let's watch for that one too. However, look at this. These guys are currently in these, just out of New Jersey, they're doing 2 million pounds of greens a year. Think about how much that is. And that's just greens. Only 10 indoor farms. Aerofarms operates 9 of the indoor farms in Newark, New Jersey locations, and 1 in Virginia, and a growth and research facility in Dubai. Now we're getting macro. As part of a $100 million investment by the UAE. The UAE gave them $100 million. Like, dude, set up shop, a research lab here in Dubai. Here's the cash. Think about that whole region over there. They ain't got no fresh veggies in Dubai. They might have 5- and 6-star restaurants that don't exist anywhere else, but where are they getting their veggies from? How old are those veggies by the time they get them? No matter what they do. What if they could be downstairs below the 6-star hotel and plucking them right there? 2-minute old? Rosenberg said that the company plans to build a network of high-tech indoor farms across the United States. Remember, we're just in New Jersey, dude. The first is currently under construction in Danville, Virginia, so we're expanding, on the North Carolina border in close proximity to more than 1,000 food retailers and approximately 50 million people within a day's drive. That's a lot of folks. That's a lot of stuff to sell them. Aerofarms has more than 150 employees in Newark. When I read that, I think the sentence was graduated to show and maybe brag on the fact that they're employing that many people. But when I first heard that, and I was thinking 2 million pounds of greens and only 150 employees can make 2 million pounds of the greens, those numbers are crazy, dude. If you know anything about farming, you would know that that's nuts. All right, if that was a normal farm, at least 5x that off the top of my head for amount of employees. What does that mean? Creating jobs is good, but if we can talk business here, right? That's why we're here, to make money. If we can cut down employees by 60, 70, 80%, 90% less employees too, that's one thing they're not pitching, because I think they're afraid that it's going to be looked at negatively. But listen, we're investors here, all right? It's all about that bottom line, right? Maybe a little cool factor pixie dust on top, but that's nuts. The company offer computer financial literacy training programs, and the workforce includes former criminal offenders and homeless people. So you see what's happening there? They're kind of reverting back, and they're not talking about how it's a good thing to only employ less people than normal farms, but they're saying they are employing 150, which is good, or jobs in New Jersey, Newark. But then they're saying they're also getting people that might not be able to have jobs, dude. People that need literacy training, can't read or write or whatever, coming from the street. I don't know, man. But that's cool. So they're getting that kind of emotional side out of it. You're going to get some investors from that. The biggest impact we've had on the city is inspiring other tech firms to come to Newark, he said, describing how Aerofarms donated to the Newark Venture Partners, a business incubator. Business incubator is basically, let's call it like a hub where, say you don't know anything about business, you want to start a business, or you just want to hang out with some like-minded individuals, then you're totally in business. You can go to these things called business incubators, and it's just a bunch of people hanging out, probably on their laptops, drinking coffee, but it's cool to be around those like-minded individuals to bounce ideas off of and stuff. Anyways, they've got something like that. It seems like a non-profit over there in Newark. It's great. So they're donating to that. They're doing some local little things. Funded by Dan Katz, founder executive officer of Audible. If you don't know what Audible is, it's if you want to listen to a book where someone's basically reading the whole book to you, you can download an app called Audible, and it reads the book. I use it all the time. That's how I read books nowadays, because I just don't have time to sit there and do this. I'm too busy looking at all this stuff for y'all, all right? But here's the deal with Audible. Who owns Audible? Amazon. So Amazon is involved with this too. And remember, this is that play where they've actually been donating a lot of stuff to like local charities and all that, but they're still really not talking about it. I think that's kind of the magic pixie dust that's always going to be working in the background, and why this CEO I think is super smart. Aerofarms announced various partnerships with governments, universities, and Fortune 500 companies to help solve agricultural supply chain problems. For instance, Aerofarms will publish a study to improve leafy green production, flavor, and nutrition next year with the Foundation for Food Agricultural Research. So this is big government agency stuff, a nonpartisan nonprofit funded by the U.S. Farm Bill, government funded. The findings are aimed at helping the farming industry. This is going to change the whole world, dude. Think about how many hundreds and thousands of acres of farmland is out there that we can consolidate. This opens up a lot more land and places to build cities and stuff, dude. This is crazy. Agriculture is responsible for 15% of global greenhouse gas emissions. What does that mean? The farmers, God bless them, okay? Hard work, all that, fantastic, thank you for what you're doing, but guess what? They're also putting out 15% of the bad juice in the air. So they're creating the stuff we can eat and need to survive, but 15% of the worldwide pollution is from the stuff that they use to get us those things. If we could take 95% of that 15% of greenhouse gas emissions, that could change the whole world. That alone right there is absolutely massive. To the point where we could all probably still be driving around gas-powered cars for another 50 years and we'd probably be good if we can convert, right? Is it possible to do vertical farms for all farming things? Not 100%, but this is massive, people. Huge. Counts for 1/5 the U.S. fossil fuel use. That's 20% of fossil fuel use is from farming. What if we could cut that down to 95% less? Because remember, that semi-truck, not even including the tractors, the cat tractors with the diesel and all that, but that semi-truck coming from Mexico, taking those tomatoes that has stopped at like 74 stops, transferred the box to other people, finally made its way to New Jersey. Think about how many gallons of diesel that been burned just to get to New Jersey from Mexico. Think about that. As excess fertilizer, I talk about this a lot. Someone else is finally bringing it up. I'm really happy about it. Excess fertilizer from farms, okay? The nitrogens, the phosphates. I talk about how when you start adding all that stuff to waters, rivers, streams, and all that, it increases the oxygen level in the water, which makes it easier for stuff like algae and all that to grow, which then what brings in what? Suckerfish. If you don't know what suckerfish are, they're basically like the things you don't want in the rivers and lakes because many reasons, but it's just something you don't want in your lakes. You don't want these, they call them fat fish, suckerfish. They ruin stuff, right? Same with overgrowth of algae. It's because of this. So that's going to clean all the rivers and streams. Think about how crazy that is. Y'all been to some rivers and streams 10 years ago, 10 years before that, and see how they've changed? Streams, oceans, it can cause eutrophication, don't know what that is. or algae blooms, like I was talking about, that proliferate and kill aquatic life. So when you up that oxygen level, you are messing with the whole ecosystem. It's the butterfly effect, like I talked about the soak SPAC, how they're going to be taking those rare earth minerals out of the ocean, how that's going to have a negative effect because it's going to mess with the pH, it's going to mess with the cleaning because a lot of those minerals clean. It's the same thing here, but we're dumping the phosphates in, right? As of 2008, there were 405 dead zones around the world, the university's researchers said. In the ocean, there's 405 dead zones where like nothing can live in because of old school farming, dude. Think about how nuts that is. And the fact that we can solve that. It's right in front of our face and we're ground floor investing in it. United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization says more than 2/3 of the world's fresh water is used for agriculture. Did you hear that? 2/3 of the world's fresh water is used for agriculture. That is crazy. So what if we could reduce that by 95%? How many lakes are totally full on the West Coast right now? Can you raise your hand? Maybe 0. How many lakes are like almost completely dried up all on the West Coast right now? Like 90% of them. And around the world, farmers are losing the battle for water for their crops because scarce water resource being diverted to expanding cities. To feed the growing and increasingly urban global population of 9 billion expected by 2050, estimates the world must boost food production by 70% through higher crop yields and expanding cultivation. How are you going to do that? Closed box thinkers, micro thinkers. This might surprise you, but I'm going to use Bill Gates as the example here. Okay? I think he's a macro thinker. He's gone global with stuff, but he's actually been really always micro himself, not the people he's hired around him. Bear with me here. Number one farm owner in the United States is Bill Gates, at least the one buying the most right now. So right when he sees these numbers, he's been thinking for decades, the best way to do it is I'm going to buy all the farms, is what Bill Gates has been doing around the United States. And he wants to own them because he sees these numbers. He has been looking at these numbers. What if he would have just invested and been an entrepreneur and like done something like Aerofarms? Okay? Through higher yield, I mean, 70% more food. What is that going to do to the oceans? We have 405 dead zones now. We're going to have triple that in the next 20, 30 years if we keep up. Aerofarms' business strategy is more concentrated on monetizing its intellectual property than selling leafy greens. What does that mean? These guys not only will franchise you a brand, okay? They will franchise you a warehouse, they'll build it, set it up, everything on your property. How sick is that? Okay? But they're also going to, it sounds like, rent out, lease out, teach you how to do it, their intellectual property, and show people how to do it. How software as a service, artificial intelligence through their data they've collected for over a decade. Nobody's got this. You can't recreate this, dude. Nobody. In Securities Exchange Commission disclosures, Aerofarms claims 250 inventions and 45 recognized trade secrets that optimizes cultivation of 550 plant species. This isn't just tomatoes, people. Roseberry compared Aerofarms' trajectory to the growth of Amazon, which began focused on books, and Tesla's development of batteries and focused on auto-driving vehicles after gaining a foothold on electric vehicles. In the same way, leafy greens at Aerofarms is our beachhead, the one that gets them started. He said in a recent investor call, and we look forward to utilizing our platform in many ways. What are the ways? Like I was saying, they're going to start doing software as a service, guarantee it. They're going to sell their AI. They're going to sell their data. They're going to sell the little machines that hold the plants and mist them at the right time, exact calculations of where the lights are supposed to be. They've got AI figuring this all out at all times. It's all 24-hour monitored. It's crazy. What about this, though? I was thinking, what if they can utilize those platforms for, I don't know, I just thought chickens. There's big controversy about, chickens sitting in cages. Sure, I don't want chickens like locked up in cages all day, but if they can go in there to poop out the eggs somehow. The highest stack I've seen here is like 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of these things high, 4 cages high. Why stop there? Why can't Aerofarms be like, dude, you guys are only stacking them 4 high. Let's go 25 high. Why? Because we can use less acreage, less sources. It's way easier to keep a building that's 20 of these high than it is 4 high, 5x long, right? Maybe that's the calculation. You tell me. Chicken cages, I don't know. There's some way to do it where they can still run around and have fun, but do you really want chickens that are running around and poop all day? Or do you want something that auto cleans itself? Maybe you can like auto clean the bins? I don't know, man. I'm sure they can figure it all out. But this stuff gets super intricate, and I'm sure they are thinking about this. Look at all this stuff, dude. Man, I love me some chickens. How about fruits? Do you think that they can make tomatoes? I think they could. The problem with that part is that they're not going high enough. They're like 10 feet high buildings, and they're like 1,000 feet long. Why? Go high. Ask any apartment investor, any commercial investor, go high. When Rosenberg was asked about green leaf, Mary Jane stuff, he said he wasn't against it. He said, I'm trying, yeah, we found the interview right here. I think it's at 40-minute mark. It's a long, huge interview. Guy's super smart. He's creative, but he understands emotion, and he's really good at it. So the green leaf stuff, that could happen. He's just not going to put his brand on it, but he'll probably lease out the building and the tech and the AI. Why is it such a massive deal? 95% less water, 0 soil use. Dude, even farming dirt is a real thing. Not only farming dirt, guess what? After you farm dirt, you got to transport it. Think of all the gas and all that stuff is used for that. No driving to pump sites, running diesel equipment to pump drill into the earth to get water. No money spent on either. No CO2 emissions from tractors. No Billy Goat Gates Monsanto juices cross-contamination. You could have an organic farm here. If you have a Monsanto farm over here, or just on the hillside over here and a hill in between, that Monsanto juice is going to end up over on your farm. Did you know there's no such thing as organic because they were able to calculate stuff out to the trillionth of the decimal for DNA? Why is that? What I was just talking about. Will make Bill Gates' investment as America's biggest farmland guy turn over to the worst investment of the decade. It could. It could make his land worth a tenth of what he paid for it. Will make many regular farms obsolete. Listen, I love farmers. Thank God. Thank you for you, dude, all the hard work. But, dude, they can adapt, all right? If you own 1,000 acres and you're a farmer, adapt, all right? Sell 80% of it, get 2 of these things, and take over. Make fertile land cheap again. It's going to open up a lot of land for people to live, man. And then you could grow your own stuff. Then you don't even need these guys. 10 locations producing is nothing compared to its potential. This is little Newark, New Jersey, dude. It's tiny. That's it. And they're already making money. Global problems of arable land loss. The world has lost 1/3 of its arable land in the last 40 years due to soil erosion and contamination by toxic metals. Not only that, you can't farm a lot of land now because it's becoming obsolete. So what can you do with it? Create a city, build a housing development. Make a lake, make a Spartan race place where you can, make a playground, a go-kart track, I don't know. Aerofarms uses up to 99% less land than normal farming. Global problem of, I'm not even gonna call it a problem, population growth. Food production will need to increase by 69% by 2035 to feed the growing population and expand the middle class. Aerofarms is 390 times more productive than field farming. Holy Toledo, farmers. If any farmer is watching this or you showed them this video, I guarantee they'd blow their mind and they'd probably do what I said and sell 90% of their farm and just get a couple of these and call it good. Global problem, water scarcity. Global water demand is set to increase by 55% for the next 25 years, 30 years. Use up to 95% less water. Global problem, supply chain, $1.2 trillion worth of food is lost or wasted each year. You think those tomatoes riding from Mexico all the way to New Jersey, some don't go bad? Locally produced for fresher foods and less waste. If you could walk down the street in New York, go to the freshest farm in the world. Think about it. Global problem overuse of pesticides. With pesticides reduces on 70% of the washed produce in the United States. People are concerned with sustainability and chemicals on their food. Do you hear that? Even if you're one of the crazy people, maybe like me, who has been washing everything they buy, dude, my vegetables, my meat, whatever, there's still a 70% chance that that still has some pesticides on it. That should kind of scare you a little bit. How blocked is your third eye? Grows using 0 pesticides. Aerofarms, you need 0 pesticides. No bugs, dude. Not only that, have you guys ever actually grown anything? If you grow like any sort of fruit, tree, or like strawberries, right? Within like 6 weeks or way less, guess what? You get bugs, and the bugs start eating your fruit, man. Like 20-30% of your fruit is you can't even eat because it's like infested with bugs, man. They've already eaten and burrowed into it, like worms, and even the leaves will eat those up. You need to worry about that. That's huge. Unrivaled sustainability and productivity. This is all down on my website if you want to read through this more. I mean, I was going over this again today, just like I started thinking about it. I was like, what better play is there out there right now? What better play is there? I started going over the investor presentation. I was like, this is just stupid. I mean, like, how can you not see this? I think it's because it's branded as farming. And like, people are like, yeah, it's not farming. I'm not a farmer. I don't get it. Well, if you get ESG and the macro solution problems with that, this should solve all your questions. Come look at this graph right here. They've been around for a long time. Here's this monster development building in the UAE, in Dubai. They have a whole development building that the Dubai paid for. Can you imagine how many of these are going to be set up just in the UAE alone? Remember, we only have 10. Dubai could easily have 10 or 50 or 100. In the UAE or Saudi Arabia, I mean, holy Toledo, in the middle of the desert. 2021 and beyond, scale development, construction, additional facilities around the world, including Model 5 and future generations of the farm model, and expanding scale, improved farm level. They're always expanding. Here's some of their data, AI, machine learning. You get all that in this too. They use pixels to detect, sizes and all that. It's crazy. Here's this place in UAE. It's huge and nuts and cool. And here's this map where they're showing New Jersey where we're at. They're showing the Virginia where we're just tapping into, and they're just going to cross over southern United States, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Texas Triangle. Can you imagine these in Austin, dude? I could see like 50 of these in Austin, Texas. And just by quick numbers, that should 5x our revenue just from Austin. Greater St. Louis. You've got all these beacons that are shadowed on. Where is this? Phoenix, Colorado. Looks like Las Vegas, Nevada. Southern Central California. Because the CEO I have heard say that even though like Central California is known for the fresh veggies and fruits and all that, what if you could sell something with less pesticides? That's huge for the greenie people in California, right? That's absolutely massive. For like 5x cheaper too. We haven't even talked about that, right? And here's the deal: because there's no GMO sprinkles on it, no Bill Gates juice on it, these things last in stores. I don't remember the exact number. I think it's at least like 2 times longer. So an apple in a regular store might last a week. That's got GMO juice on it, right? These guys' apple will last 2 times that, 2 weeks. The stores are responsible for that cut. So if that apple after a week goes bad, the store loses money, right? So the stores want it too. That's what Amazon was saying. They like their stuff because the shelf life is way longer than the stuff with the Bill Gates juice on. They're even showing the Pacific Northwest, Idaho, Montana. Dude, remember, we got one little tiny little beacon, and that's just the United States. And then think of the rest of the world, dude. It's feeding it's Canada. Strong brand presence brings value to the Here you go. Here's the brand media play. Look at this. From 2018 to 2020, the media share of voice, Aerofarm leads the way in media impressions in the industry. That means how many people have searched for indoor farming, whatever. The brand that has searched the most is Aerofarms. This is the golden unicorn people are talking about. It's been in every major magazine: Fortune, Inc., Forbes, National Geographic, Wall Street Journal, New Yorker, New York Times, Fast Company, Bon Appetit. Think about all the cooks that are going to get into this. You're going to have cooks that are like, brand their name and, go in conjunction with them. Here you go. Strawberries. We get strawberries. So we got all the grains. We got fruits. Large strawberry market ripe for disruption. Preparing for future commercial expansion, new markets like berries. Grown over 6,300 berry plants to date. High-performing berry products. So more than just strawberries. We're probably going to get blueberries. Give me some huckleberries, man. Huckleberries hard to get. Zero pesticide, less water, la da da da. Are you not convinced yet? How about the numbers, boomers? So we're going to be at 1.2 billion is what they're valuing this as. Fine. Okay, take it. Which puts this ticker price darn close to App Harvest at 1.6 billion currently. So we're going back up to App Harvest now. So App Harvest is sitting at $16-ish right now, right? At 1.6 billion. If you compare the two, they're basically sitting about the same valuation on paper if we were to match it on the price. What am I getting at? You can buy this thing for like $10-ish right now, I think. But even to match App Harvest, which I think this is a better company, right? It's got a more macro picture. I like them both, but this one goes vertical. That's the biggest thing. Vertical already doing the best in the space. Just to match them, even the market caps should match almost exactly. Okay. Remember, these guys are currently only doing tomatoes. For all the boomers out here, here's the financials. Guess what? Those almost match up perfectly too. All right. So they're both like producing, it looks like 9 million or something profit this year. Another one's at showing maybe 12 million. Close. But this one, they're a little bit off, but they're close enough, right? That's the way I'm looking at it. It's like, because they're always worded and numbered a little bit differently, so I'm not going to sit there and calculate this out. It'd take me 5 hours. Look at it. It's right here. Got it for you. By the way, Aerofarms has broken ground on its next farm in Danville, Virginia. Talk about that. I'm just more than completely sold on this. This solves so many problems. Don't even think of it as a farming play. This is a technology play. This is a ESG play. This is a save the world play. This is save the water play, save the people, save your lungs play, save the ozone play. It's all that. Plus people get fresher food. Did I tell you there's like no risk buying this right now? At least I think. I think it's sitting at like $10. I know the warrants are sitting like $1.40 or something. Remember the warrants on the other one went to like probably like 20-ish, right? Maybe more. I'm so glad I'm not trying to talk you into one that's already ran. Get them before they have. If you haven't liked, commented, or subscribed on this, please do it. It definitely helps out the channel.
Please friend us on Twitter and StockTwits.